he had asked me to break up with my husband at the time. We were just dating. So I was dating Shannon and my husband at the same time.
This is a little bit triggering, so mind yourself.
Shannon asked me to break up with my husband, and I don't recall for sure, but I think I did. And so, it's like, wait a minute, you want me to be with just you, but you want to move somebody into your house and not even tell me? So that's what it stemmed from. He's not a faithful person, so I wasn't going to be faithful to a non-faithful person. It just doesn't work that way. Not for me anyway.
Can you tell us just broadly, I know it's probably painful to relive this situation, but can you tell us generally what happened that day? It
was fighting, and usually we fought on the phone and not in person. So it was the biggest argument that we ever got in. And he was controlling, he was domineering, he was manhandling me beforehand, and he wanted to have sex, and I told him no. I told him no, because you gave it to somebody else. I didn't only tell him no, I told him why. And he wouldn't take no for an answer. So he overpowered me, put me to my knees, put his penis in my mouth. And after he got enough of that, he put me on the bed. And, this was all a struggle.
I'm going to ask something that might be a little sensitive or might sound insensitive, I should say. But I'm going to go ahead and ask it because it's a question that I'm sure people are wondering. Why didn't you file a police report when he raped you?
Because I was scared for my life. He said he would use it. Everybody he knows, and he knows lots of police officers. So I didn't know that if I went down there, that would be one of the people that he knows.
Now, this Shannon Sharpe situation has been, something where I think it's been a little polarizing. People have, thought that he was getting framed or trying to get, this is a scheme and everything, right? I myself thought that too, but as days go on, more and more information comes up. It's a little bit skewed, right? We don't know what's going on, how it's going on. From what old girl just says, it's not a good look for Shannon. Yes, he's human, she's human, we understand all that, but it really doesn't sound good. And we talk about celebrity things on here, we talk about relationships on here, and it definitely seems like a bad look for brother. Just being honest. Well, this is the Michele. If y'all don't know, this is the Michele from the leaked video. A lot of people can't believe that this is the actual lady, but this is the Michele. Now, to me, looking at this situation from a point of empathy, If you know, this is Bruh Talk, land of empathy, right? I will be honest with you. Even if Bruh was found innocent and all that good stuff, the character, at least from what we've heard, at least from her, um, it's not necessarily a good thing. You know what I mean? I've always said, mind you, everyone is different and we don't have enough information, but I've always said, you don't own anybody. Not me, not you. That I'm in a relationship with you doesn't mean I own you. If this is true and Bruh does act this way, or should I say Unc does act this way, it is not a good look, regardless of whether he's found innocent completely or what have you. We should never approach anything with force, whether you claim to be an alpha male or not, or yes, stand firm on whatever you believe in. If you are a dominant man, dominance does not mean controlling. Dominance just means leadership. And as they always say, actually the saying goes, for you to be a king, you are a slave to your people, right? First, you must be a slave before you become a king, right? Which then leaves a lot of questions about tyrants and individuals that just misuse power. But in relationships, I definitely think, even if you are a dominant individual, you should understand that dominance does not mean controlling. And from what we've heard her say, whether true or not, we're using this on a broader scale now to talk about individuals that are, dominant. They claim to be dominant alpha males, which is borderline controlling. It is something that I think should be handled, should be worked on, right? If a lady is not interested in you, no need for all that, right? Just let them be, right? This is another thing about the idea of chase. This is why I don't like the idea of chasing. How some ladies say they like a man that, maybe does a little bit more dominant stuff, a little bit more, we've heard of stuff like that. I don't believe in that for myself, because as I always say, if it's not smooth and mutual, I don't want the turbulence. I just don't enjoy stuff like that, right? Because it leaves room for one, misinterpretation. Something like this as well, where maybe he might have thought, oh, she's saying no because she means yes, and all that good stuff. But in reality, nah, right? Me personally, as I said, we don't know. We're not in the relationship. We don't know what's going on, but it's not a good look. And if it is true, that means Bruh does need some work done. Not necessarily say he should go to a therapist, but he needs to look within himself, right? Even if it's not true, this is for everybody else that is that line, that dominant line, that alpha male line of you got to do what I say and so on and so forth. There's nothing wrong if the other individual enjoys the submissive role and all that, but being submissive as well doesn't mean, some individuals will say, from what she explained, when he put her to her knees and whatever, did she comply with that? And if she did, and why he took her to the bed and whatever, means she was probably enjoying it or whatnot. But that's not usually the case. Also the issue of why she not go to the police, he having power. These are things that, psychologically, a lot of things do happen where people don't necessarily know what to do. Trauma, there's a lot to it. So I can understand to a certain degree, right? And not everybody reacts the same way. Some people do genuinely have fear, while some other individuals they might not care. They might just, so there are too many things and too many variables. As I always tell you, this is life, right? Not trying to judge, just trying to use these to teach, individuals that might be playing that dominant role. Because I know a lot of guys tend to, like the chase and, there's guys like that, right? For those individuals, I would say, watch right here, learn from this, because you don't want to be in any situation where you then having to explain yourself beyond what you need to explain or what you can't even explain, right? Then again, every relationship, I always say, is just the two people involved, not everybody else. So we don't know, I don't know, you don't know. But from what we're observing, as I said, it does not look good, right? No judgments here. It's just, I'm looking at it from an empathetic point of view. If that was my sister, you know, the ball game, you know, Shannon being my brother, I would also be asking the questions like, is that what happened? Is that true? So I definitely like to hear our thoughts about it. Of course, we're not in the situation, people just gonna always choose a side. As I said, it's polarizing to some people, but let's get people's thoughts about it. If you're a dominant individual, or, do you consider this controlling? Do you consider this dominant? Let's have a whole talk about it. This is Bro Talk, a line of empathy, right? We always pick topics to touch the greater issues, So let me know in the comments. I'm gonna see you all next time. Peace and blessings.
Almighty push.
Do like you supposed to. Do like you supposed to. Do like you supposed to. I say do like you supposed to.
Doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing. They were bigger outside of what they did than what they did. I'm a great rapper, but you forgot about that right now because I'm doing so many other things. So that's what I want to be known for, all of the great things that I do outside of it.